Welcome into the Saturday edition of the Fun Astrology and Merriman Market Analyst Financial Podcast. I'm Thomas Miller. Thanks for joining us. We're going to be reading from the MMAcycles.com free weekly newsletter for the week beginning December 18th, the week before the holidays. This newsletter is packed with great astrological information in every section, and I just want to mention that the audiobook for the 2024 forecast book is out. I'll tell you what Ray wrote about it at the end, but just to let you know, and you can get to it two places, from MMAcycles.com, the shop tab, or you can go to hightimelinebooks.com. That links you back to MMA Cycles, basically two ways to get to the same place. You can go to High Timeline Books. It's right there on the front page. You can go to MMAcycles.com under the shop tab. I was talking to my buddy Chet, who does all the videos for us, and we were saying, now, what did he say? See, so that's why you need it. You needed it to come back, because we are approaching these things very quickly. As soon as we get through the holidays, it's game on in 2024, and you're going to want this as a mundane overview guide for the next several years. It's the where we're going part, not the financial part. Let's jump into this week's newsletter. First of all, from Thursday's Wall Street Journal. This week, the Fed pivoted. Fed Chair Jerome Powell said, "You're getting back now to the point where both mandates, inflation and employment, are important." His comments Wednesday after the central bank's meeting. This pivot means the Fed is ready to backstop the economic recovery. It doesn't rule out a recession, but it makes one less likely. End quote. Now Ray's comments beginning this week with the market wrap-up. Mercury turns retrograde and everyone pivots, even the Fed. But this pivot to a more accommodative tone is just setting up the conditions for, 1, a better housing market with lower rates going into the election, and 2, another round of inflation afterwards, just as discussed in last week's column. In the week that witnessed a new moon in Sagittarius on Tuesday, Mercury retrograde Wednesday, and Mercury in the process of moving back and forth in a favorable trine aspect with Jupiter, and that dance is between December 7th and 18th, stock markets around the world soared. Several markets are now up double digits from their lows of late October, which was down double digits from the prior yearly highs of July 18th through August 1st, when Venus turned retrograde. This also fits the Sun-Mars conjunction pattern outlined in this column for September through November. In Asia and the Pacific Rim, India's Nifty index ended the week with another new all-time high and is now up 14% from its low on October 26th. Australia's ASX also surged close to its yearly high made in February and is now up 10% from its low of October 30th. Japan's Nikkei and Hong Kong's Hang Seng indexes rallied late last week off lows earlier in the week. In the case of Hong Kong, its low on December 11th was its lowest mark in over a year. China's Shanghai Composite is also near its yearly low, in contrast to the rest of the world's rising indices. Something's not working in the economy in China, and that doesn't bode well for the rest of the world, which needs China's economy to be stronger for global growth next year. Except for the London FTSE, all major indices that we track in Europe did extremely well last week. The German DAX, however, was the only index making a new all-time high. The Netherlands AEX is drawing close, and both the AEX and the DAX are up 12.1% and 15.2% respectively from their lows in late October. The Zurich SMI index made a 6-month high and is now up 10.6% from October 23rd. The FTSE is only up 6% during the same time. In the Americas, all indices made new yearly highs, but only the Dow Jones Industrial Average made a new all-time high. The Dow Jones and S&P are now up 15% or more since their lows of late October. Brazil's Bovespa is also within striking distance of its all-time high as of last week. Thus, we have a case where one market in each region made a new all-time high, but none of the others have done the same yet. Is this going to be a case of intermarket bearish divergence going into the end of the year? And now the short-term geocosmics. Sir Isaac Newton said, "Time is absolute." Albert Einstein said, "Time is relative." Karl Marx said time was invented by clock companies to sell more clocks. Mercury began its retrograde cycle, aka the Trickster, on December 13th, which will last through January 1st or 2nd, depending on your time zone. This cosmic roadrunner is known for erratic and sudden changes of market direction in short spans of time, usually 1 to 4 days. And often it distorts cycle periods, chart patterns, technical indicators, and will often even affect other geocosmic as well as solar-lunar signatures in ways contrary to historical trends related to those signatures. This is the reason why we avoid initiating new position trades during Mercury retrograde. We do, however, initiate plenty of short-term trades for aggressive traders. We are currently in the midst of our 4 geocosmic signatures between December 6th and 21st that also have historically high correlations to sudden and sharp reversals within 4 trading days. But Mercury retrograde can sometimes stymie those behaviors. If there is no major or greater cycle reversal within 4 trading days of Mercury turning retrograde, December 13th, then instead of reversing, the current trend will usually continue into the midpoint of the Trickster's cycle, which will be December 23rd, which is a weekend. The point is that one should be prepared for a sharp reversal now before December 20th. If not, then anticipate the reversal within 2 trading days of December 23rd. They follow back-to-back with one another, so basically the market could be choppy until the very end of this month. Besides Mercury retrograde, the Sun will also form a closing square to Neptune this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, December 16th and 17th, and Venus will be in opposition to Uranus on December 21st. Both are important reversal signatures. The first pertains to crude oil. Given that Neptune just turned direct on December 6th, crude oil may have recently formed an important cycle low on December 13th, right in between the 2 strong Neptune signatures, as it should. The second one, the Venus opposition to Uranus, is important to interest rate-sensitive markets such as treasuries and currencies. It also has a strong correspondence to reversals in the stock market, but requires an orb of up to 10 trading days, although usually it commences within only 4 trading days. That Venus-Uranus opposition may also apply to the unexpectedly dovish announcements by the Fed last week, and possibly to reconsidered options of that announcement this week. Perhaps a pivot on the pivot, which would be characteristic for the Trickster. Nevertheless, markets are vulnerable now to sudden but brief and sharp changes this week, unless the combination of Mercury retrograde and the approaching holiday season results in subdued volume and market volatility. Or if the Venus-Uranus opposition is instead going to correlate with an escalation of the upside breakout in stocks to more new all-time highs by year-end. Normally that would not be the case with the combination of Mercury retrograde and these aspects in effect through December 21st. But a continuation of the rally to new highs cannot be ruled out either because Jupiter will be highlighted in the last week of the year. It will be in a trine aspect to the Sun on December 27th and then turns stationary direct December 31st. That's generally a hopeful signature for the future. People tend to be optimistic then, so shorting the market before the end of the month should be approached with much caution. It may be wiser to watch for sharp 1 to 4 day declines as buying opportunities. And now the longer-term thoughts with an excellent astrological application. 2 Wall Street Journal reports from late this week. The House voted Wednesday to condemn the testimony of 3 university presidents, Harvard, MIT, and the University of Pennsylvania, whose comments on campus anti-Semitism last week sparked calls for their resignation. The testimony exacerbated tensions over the Israel-Hamas war on college campuses and was widely condemned by university donors, politicians, and Jewish advocacy groups. Demands for the university presidents to resign escalated. Then this, also December 13th, from Daniel Henninger. How can anyone have been shocked at the anti-Semitic marches at universities across the country the past 2 months? What happened was the ugly culmination of decades of institutionalized cowardice. For those 3 university presidents testifying before Congress about quote-unquote context in the calm tones of a graduate seminar, the anti-Jewish protests were simply another occasion to look the other way. An opportunity is at hand to reorient U.S. colleges away from terminal loopiness and back to learning, end quote. Now Ray's comments. We seldom talk about declinations, which are the alignment of planets in the sky horizontally. They are measured by the planet's distance above or below the celestial equator. Contraparallels are planets equidistant above or below, north or south, of the celestial equator. They are considered similar in influence as a conjunction, which is the vertical alignment of planets to one another in the heavens. Our friend Richard Hardy, who is a recording musician formerly with the Carole King Band and also an excellent astrologer, reminds us that Jupiter and Saturn are contraparallel with one another from November 26th through December 4th, and then again December 11th through 19th. In the study of astrology, Jupiter rules higher education. Saturn rules authority, government, and restrictions. It's interesting to note that this is playing out in last week's condemnation, Saturn, of 3 Ivy League presidents, Saturn, who testified before Congress regarding the issue of anti-Semitism taking place on their campuses, Jupiter. It may continue this year as Pluto transits over the supercharged 0 degrees of Aquarius, where the Jupiter-Saturn 20-year synodic cycle commenced on December 21st, 2020, ushering in the quote-unquote new era, AIRA. And this is covered in great detail in the newly released Forecast 2024 book. And that concludes this week's newsletter, but I would like to read just what Ray wrote about the audiobook. It covers the first 9 chapters of the mundane astrological outlook for the year and extending out the next 8 years, based on long-term planetary cycles and their historic themes over the past several centuries. These include the new era we just heard, AIRA, the Aries vortex, which of course is that very important and will be a conjunction of Saturn and Neptune in Aries, the cycles of war and Renaissance, living in the new era, the world and national economy, and the U.S. presidential election in 2024. Original and special studies conducted on the history of the major aspects in 2024 related to the election outcome are also given, as well as the retrograde time bands of Mercury and Mars and their importance in 2024. The Forecast 2024 Abridged Audio Edition is an excellent choice for those who enjoy listening to books while driving, walking, or working out. Or when you're talking to your buddy about the market and you go, "What did he write about?" You can cue it back up and listen again. 2 places you can go to order. One is hightimelinebooks.com, and that's just a link over to the other place, which is MMAcycles.com under the shop tab. It's just the High Timeline link takes you straight to the book on MMAcycles.com. It'll get you there either way. And if you order before, 10:43 p.m. Eastern tonight, when the Sun squares Neptune, you start listening to the book, you'll understand it better. I'll give you another cup of coffee to think about that one. You guys have a wonderful rest of the weekend. I'll see you back on Fun Astrology on Monday. Kristen and Alyssa are doing Level Up this Sunday night. Stay safe trading the markets, and we'll see you back on Monday.